as you can see, we have the Utah County Commission candidates, A and B. And what we're going to do is let you ask the questions. So if you have a question, stand up or raise your hand, and then you can ask the question, and the candidates will have 3 minutes to answer your question. And please be respectful to these candidates. And so let's get started. Or do you want to wait? Oh, yeah. 3 minutes to introduce yourself. Sorry. No more than 2 minutes to answer the question. Is there a big clear on that? Big good? All righty. So we get started. Feel bad Michelle's not here.
Well, we could, if you want to start with me.
us, and then
Yeah.
maybe that gives her a little more
give her a
time.
little more
But I
time.
just,
4 minutes.
I have to explain the mints that we gave you. These are called, well, these happened with Christy Henshaw. She was talking one time and chewing gum, and I told her, Christy, that's not a good look. And so I gave her one of these mints, and they fit just in the side of your mouth, and they're awesome. So if anybody wants to know where to get them, you get them at Mrs. Kavanaugh's. They're the best. Plug in for Orem.
All right. Well, I'll start then. Okay, Carolina Herron, and I'm running for Commission seat B. I currently live in Spanish Fork. And a little bit about me. So a lot of you know me. I've attended these meetings for a while now. I've also attended with Yale and the Utah County Republican Women. I was on their board for a while. But currently I'm the Legislative Affairs Director for the Utah Department of Corrections. And that's what I do as a job. And for that, I get to interact with a lot of our legislators.
Hey, Carolina, can you go to the mic?
Yes.
We're recording this.
Oh, there you go.
I should have told you.
No, that's okay. Do you want us to move it along? There you go. I think it will.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm the Legislative Affairs Director for the Utah Department of Corrections. And like I said, with that, I do a lot with legislators, which in turn, in this position, will really help our county because as a county commission, we're really that threshold. We're that middle layer of government where we can work with the state where needed and push back where we really need to preserve our county. So I'm prior law enforcement. I served for about 10 years, did all sorts of jobs in there. So if you're curious, come ask me and I can tell you about that. Currently, I serve with the party. I was elected and am elected to the State Central Committee. I'm a national delegate, was on the Trump slate, and did that for a couple times since 2016 and then 2020, 2024. I'm the previous vice chair with the party and also just serving in several different capacities, like with the grassroots movement. We went out to Vegas a couple times for the elections. So just really been involved for a while. Like I said, live in Spanish Fork. I have 3 daughters. My husband's a sheriff deputy right now and has been in law enforcement for years, was also in the military. And then a little living experience that's different about me and I think will really help the county as well, the way that we are dealing with growth and just everything to ensure that we have what is correctly needed for our county. I was born and raised in Brazil, moved to the United States legally when my dad wanted to come and better his school opportunities. So he was the director for the genealogy in Brazil for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And legally, we moved our family here. So that's a little bit about me there. If you guys have any other questions about my background as a person, you can come ask me. But a big reason why I'm running is because I'm not a politician. I'm not doing this to better my career. I'm not doing this because I lost an election. I'm not doing this because I was serving and this is the next step. I'm really doing this because I love to serve people. I've been involved with people. I'm caring in terms of I want to make sure that things are done correctly. I want to make sure that we have hard workers, and I want to make sure that we have people who show up. I'm really concerned that our current commissioners are not going to meetings that they're supposed to. They have side jobs, they have side interests, and I think that causes our county to suffer where we need it most. So Carolina Herron, Commission CP, thank you.
Okay, I'm David Spencer, and at the convention I had a speech, and I didn't get to finish it, so I'm going to give you the speech today because I was interrupted by clapping. So I'm David Spencer, and I grew up in a military family. My father flew combat missions in Vietnam. We moved all over the world, but everywhere we went, one truth never changed. You serve the people, you do not serve yourself, and you sure don't serve the system. And that's just not something I lived. That's something I've lived forever. So let me ask you one thing. When was 67% tax increase not enough? It's a good question. When did the people of Utah County say, hey, we want another 48% tax increase? They didn't. But the commissioners took it anyway. While your property taxes were going up, their salaries were going up from $117,000 to $170,000 in 5 years. Citizens, that is not public service. That is self-service. That is self-service, 100%. And we need to stop that. I know how to stop it because I've done it before. When I served on the Orem City Council alongside Mayor Young, we inherited the same kind of establishment-driven, closed-door frustration. We made a decision. We were going to open it up, clean it up, and give it back to the people. And we delivered. We built a transparency portal, and we made every vote, every dollar fully public. We launched a strategy innovation team, and we went department by department and cut the waste. Very key. We wrote aggressive grants with no strings attached. We brought in $23 million to the city of Orem without raising taxes. We made government work for families, not for the establishment or insiders. This is a record I bring into Utah County. Here's what I'll do as a commissioner. First, I want to cut salaries with the commission because it's the right thing to do. Second, I want to build a transparency portal, or county transparency portal. Third, infrastructure before approval. We will stop rubber stamping growth that we cannot support. No more high density. We have enough. We will fight for Utah's county share at the legislature. We need more money from our legislature. Fourth, I'll meet personally with all 22 cities, every mayor, every council, and every community, because a fragmented county is a weak county. We should be a strong county. Fifth, I'll go after all grants possible with no strings attached. Here's the truth. I have no ties to the county. I have nobody that works at the county. I have no friends at the county. I'm not part of that establishment. I'm ready to break it. This is your moment to send a message that the good old boys club is over. The taxpayers are back in charge. Utah County belongs to the people, not the insiders. If you believe that, I'm David Spencer and hope I can gain your vote. Thank you.
I'm Brent Bowles, running for Commissioner Seat A. The reason I got into this race was very clear. As David has said, we got tax increases over 100% over the last few years. When I started investigating it, I'm the only candidate that came out initially and said, wait a second, our county commissioners are earning $170,000. They've given them a raise without any input from the public. I said, that's enough. Then I started looking and I found that they increased their employees by over 20 people in that office. I also looked and seen that they increased their travel budget from $5,000 to $20,000. Now I drive for a living and I do my own business and I drive many miles. You know what my gas bill is? And I got it right here with my taxes. I'll show it to you. I spent in maintenance and gas a little over $5,000, and that's with almost 17,000 miles put on my vehicle. And they've raised theirs from $5,000 to $20,000. That's enough. I'm fed up. People say, well, you sound kind of angry. You know what? I am. I'm not angry. I'm upset that these commissioners and our politicians are enriching themselves on the backs of the taxpayers. It's got to stop. I want to reform our county commission office. I want to make sure that the employees that are in there are necessary. not people that we've put in. Some of them say, well, yeah, they're on grants. Oh, I worked in the fire department for 23 years. I watched these people on grants, and all of a sudden the grant goes away. Oh, but we like them. So what do? They bring them into the employment. And now you, the taxpayers, are paying for them. Okay? No, when the grant goes away, those employees have to go away unless they're absolutely needed. And it better be absolute. I'm one for, as this up here says, by the people, for the people, and of the people. Our government has been switched upside down. Government was supposed to have very little power and authority. Now that pyramid's upside down. The government has all the power, and we, the people down here at the bottom, have very little power. That's why I'm getting in this race. I want to reform our county commissioner's office, start at the top and work down. I want efficiency. People say transparency. What does transparency mean? This is your tax notice right here. On this tax notice, it gives you a general where the funds are going. I want to see the county put a list of what they're spending on. I want to see each department, the auditor's department, the clerk's department, the sheriff's department, how many employees they have, how much are they paying out for employee salaries, how much. I don't want individuals. I want to know the amount. I want to see every little detail. You as the people are funding these. You should know where each dime and penny of your money goes. That's why I'm in this race. I want to change how we're doing. I'm not a career politician. I've worked for myself for almost 20 years now. I know what it's like to get a W-2, and I know what it's like to fund my own health insurance, my own retirement, and pay my taxes. People have told me their taxes are becoming a burden. Those taxes are also a burden on me too. That's why I'm running for Commissioner seat A. Thank you very much. Vote for Brent Bowles.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. I got called to Grammy duty this morning, and my cute little daughter that had 4 kids in 3.5 years had to go to the emergency room. So my options were to bring 4 kids here and let them just run this meeting, or get my sister to get home from work and kind of tap me out so I could run down. I apologize for being late, but it is a true honor to be here. I loved hearing about the Liberty Forum and how it came to be. It's exciting. Kathy is just really good at bringing people together for strong beliefs, and I believe in that. So I'm Michelle Kafusi. I am a wife, a mother, a Grammy to 7 great grandkids, and they're perfect. My own big family, those kids are not perfect, but the grandkids are great, and loving this phase of our life. For those of you that don't know, I was the president of the Provo School District School Board for 7 years. And then the seat for mayor opened up, and a lot of people came forward and said, hey, you should run for mayor. This is what happens, right? They always push you to the front, and then you turn around and they're all gone. And you are the one. And so I decided to run for the city of mayor. And there were 11 of us running because it was an open seat from the ages of 20 to 74. And just everything you can possibly think of. That was probably the most interesting and fun campaign ever. And ended up being friends with all those folks. And had the privilege and honor of serving the city I was born and raised in that I love, Provo, for a little over 8 years as the mayor. And the first woman mayor, the 45th mayor. There were 44 wonderful men ahead of me that really made my job exciting and fun. I love working with the public. I kind of come to the conclusion that I love people problems. Not a lot of people can say that, but I really do. I love people problems. I love to hear them. I love to bring people together, to solve them, and to move the needle in government. Government's tricky. For those of you that I see a few in here that have held offices already, it's hard to move the needle. But I have figured out and been able to build relationships and collaborate and really get the right people around the table to make things happen. And honestly, I told myself, maybe I'm done. Maybe there's something else I want to do. And I was approached by other folks to come and work for them and do this and do that. But like my husband always says, I have a sticker on my head that says we'll work for free, because I'm not fulfilled unless I'm somehow serving. And so I'm excited for this election. I'm excited for this campaign. I've loved being all throughout the county this past few months. It's been really exciting. And so I'm Michelle Kafusi, running for County Commission Seat A, and I would ask for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to let you ask questions. So if you want to raise your hand, we'll point to you. And Gail, how many minutes do you want them to answer? 2 minutes? Okay. 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 Okay, so we'll start with, should we start with Dave now? Just rotate?
Or the questions, right?
Right, the question, but then he'll be the first, and we'll go, and then,
You're doing it each first.
yeah, right?
Each of you will be able to answer. Okay, got it.
And how many minutes do you want? 2 minutes. Okay, so, oh, you go first. Okay. Or,
I have to leave, and so
okay.
thank you for letting me.
You bet.
I want to tell you about Michelle. She certainly gave me a lot of listening time when I was a citizen and she was new mayor, and how much I appreciate that. And I want to say to each of you who are running for office how valiant I think that is. Thank you for doing that for us. I have 2 issues. One is really fun, and the other one has really been a trial. But I want to educate us, and I'm going to do it in 2 minutes.
Ask the question, and then they have 2 minutes to answer.
Got it. Okay.
And keep it brief.
And I am. I'm concise. So I was watching TV and I saw these sustainable plots of ground that people could go in and eat the food because they were a citizen and they could help themselves. And these are being promoted by the states across the United States, but Utah's not represented. I think it's a great idea. I want to support that, and so I'm mentioning it here. The second thing I want to tell you about is I became homeless for the whole month of December because I was evicted by my landlord that I had rented from for 10 years. And I'm here to testify that there's a great imbalance in our society. Do you know that you can find a lawyer to represent you if you are a landlord, but you cannot find a lawyer to represent you if you are a tenant? We have some severe issues going on with this inequity, and it needs to be addressed.
Thank you. I'll answer the first question about the community gardens. We have that in Orem, all over the city, and you can plant your stuff and you can eat your own food. So as a county, we could have a county garden in areas that everybody could participate. And I think that's a smart thing to do, because as we see our properties going to developments, our agricultural land is going away. We need to make sure we stop that and make sure we have the land that we can grow our fruit and our vegetables, and our peaches and apples, right? Tart cherries are big in Utah County. We need to make sure that we don't lose that side of that agricultural area. But talking about the injustice of you being evicted, I really think that needs to be a state legislative thing that the law needs to be passed, that you have representation and you have just cause, right? So you have a way to go, right? Because I don't know, it would also apply to the city also if you were evicted in Provo or whatever. So I think there's things that we can do, but I feel for you, and there are a lot of homeless people. We need to make sure we are kind, a little more kinder and gentle, right? Thank you.
Oh, go that way.
Sorry.
I also agree that we do need to have some plots, and there are some, as David mentioned. In fact, at one of the hospitals, Orem Community Hospital, over there in front of the hospital, there is a garden spot that people can plant in that area and then get all their vegetables off it. So there are areas. I agree that we need to also have something throughout the county. The problem is the cities have the majority of the say on their properties. The county is when I say shrinking, it's not shrinking in size, but the services are being given out to the cities. So as a county commissioner, I would relish the thought of going into these cities and talking with the mayors and saying, hey, let's get a community area that people can come and plant. My only concern with that is there's a lot of people that'll plant, and then how many people are going to put the time in to weed it and take care of it, and then they get the harvest off of it, and you planted it and put it in. So those are the concerns I have there. Now, as far as the homeless situation, it is a very complex situation. There are services out there. There are free legal services, and you can go to the county right now. We're actually down to the courts and say, I need an attorney that would provide their services free, and they will direct you to that. And so I would just make that more available on the website, or to people who need that services, that they can get free legal help. You just have to know where to get it, and that's the problem. We're probably not getting it.
45 telephone calls, I'm telling you, I have to come up with one person that will represent a tenant against the landlord. So I figured, well, the lawyers need to be paid, and they think they can't win. So our problem is not with the lawyers, our problem is with the judges. And I can give you a story about why I think that way, but I'm not.
We'll talk afterwards, and I can tell you a few places to go. Okay, all right. Just take my card back there and call me, and I will direct you to the right people. Okay.
You could stand for the chairs. You don't have to go to the
We're just getting round up. It's good to see you again, by the way. Listen, the community gardens is alive and well in Provo. We probably have the most in the county, and it's hit or miss. They can work really well, or they turn into just a mess. But I think what you're talking about is something I read about as well, that our community gardens that are volunteers come in, commit to taking a plot, correct? Gardening it, and then letting public come and take it. And it is a fascinating idea. And if there's any place that it could work, it would probably be Utah County, because we are the most service-oriented, #1 in the nation for service-oriented folks. It is definitely something we need to look into. As far as your eviction, I'm telling you, we have been fighting property landlords that there's some good, let me not clump them all together, but they use these apartments and these dwellings as just cash cows. The owners can be in California, they can own 800 of these. We try and track them down, we can't, we have to put a lien on the property. It's really tricky depending on who your landlord is. And to them, if we give them a fine or we show up to penalize them, they just pay the fee, because that's just the price of doing business in their world, because they make so much money off their rentals. It's a huge problem, and we have been fighting it for years. We've had a couple successes where we've gone after where the mortgages might be and put a lien on the mortgage rather than the apartment, and that seems to have worked. Or we've threatened to come and demolish, things like that. But you have to have the right mindset and have the right person in this seat that knows how to manage these types of issues. And my time is up, so thank you.
All right, so not to sound like a broken record, but the gardens do exist in several cities around the county. And something we could look at, like it's been mentioned, is we could do it on the county level. So being from South County, that's the largest agricultural part of the county. And we do have a lot of county land in South County where it's already happening. And so it would just be something where we could talk to a few of these folks, see if there's land that can be donated, see if they would even allow a small portion of their actual plot that can be gardened by various citizens. So I think there's a lot that can be done there. We can have those conversations. And like it's been said, several cities have them. So I don't think it would be a huge step to do it in the county. It could definitely happen, but we just need to make sure that's done correctly so it doesn't turn into just a plot of weeds, or after a while, everyone's done actually wanting to work it. And then, what does that mean for the county, and what does that mean for US taxpayers that we're gonna have to deal with it and care for it and figure out what comes next, right? But it's definitely something that can happen. And when it comes to your eviction, and unfortunately the time that you were homeless, not that it would be helpful to you now, but Utah County does have a warming center. We're one of the only counties in the state that has been doing the warming center program, and very successfully.
Something about it. Have you let her finish the answer?
Sorry, but we can chat personally too if you have any specifics. But like I said, the warming center is a good resource that we are happening right now in the county. It's been happening for the last 2 years. So that's something that potentially could help. And also every Tuesday, unless they change the date, the public defender's office comes to the county and provides services. So when it comes to your issue with the tenant versus a landlord, they do help specifically with those issues. I have gone and sat in some of those meetings. So that is taking place, and we can help you find that information. They work with several different law firms in the county as well. So
I do need to say this. When I was evicted, I found out the services that you think are out there for the homeless are not out there. And furthermore, when you govern us, we need your protection. We need to have resources. I'm elderly. I'm vulnerable for more than one reason.
right.
And we need your help.
We
And I
understand,
have to go.
and I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
sorry. Here, take my card and you can give me a call.
Okay. We're going to have, what do you want to say? Okay, just a sec. So we're going to just ask for 1 or 2 sentence questions, and they'll get 2 minutes to answer them, okay? And we're not going to go into a long, sorry, you can maybe stay after and talk to them, and we can go further into it, but we want to get as many questions answered as we can. So, Eleni. Oh, Vince. Okay, wait a minute.
Can I make a suggestion?
What's that?
Those that have questions, come up here and line up.
That's a good idea, like we do at city council. I like it. Okay, yeah, if you have questions, come stand in the line, and we'll start with Vince.
If we were to have elections of the people, government of the people, we need to have transparency and accountability. I personally have seen some problems with our elections. I want to hear from each of the candidates. What do you support in getting our elections transparent and accountable? And who do we start with?
Start with Michelle.
Okay.
I would like to go back to where it all began, where I would take my little kids, have them sit on the floor at the high school while I stepped in the booth and voted. I loved that, the whole process. It was, it felt like you were an active participant in our elections, and I would love to go back to that. It was an opportunity for me to talk to my kids about what I was doing and why we went to the high school, and it gave me an opportunity to see neighbors. It was so much more community oriented. Even with the mail-in ballots, I know statistics have shown that we get a better turnout and all those things. I'm telling you, I go to church on Sunday, and these cute little old folks bring up their ballots because they're afraid to open it. They're afraid they're going to do it wrong, or they're going to sign in the wrong place. And I'm always like, don't give them, I can't touch them, don't give them to me because I'm on it. But I would love to go back to the American flag out in front of whatever high school is your responsibility to vote at, and show up, go vote, make that statement in person with your ID.
Right, you're going last, right? We're going around. So to answer your question, yes, I worked with Aaron quite a bit actually on this kind of issue, and I was one of the sponsors to repeal Prop 4. So we did a lot of work with Aaron when it came to turning in those signatures. So when it comes to elections, that's a big, it's a right that we have that needs to be preserved and done correctly. No more mail-in ballots, like we've talked about. And I think that's created a huge problem for not only in terms of the election process, but for us as citizens and our kids. Our kids are missing the opportunity to know how special it is to show up, be able to vote, get your little sticker, which sounds silly, but you'd be surprised how many of those kids love the opportunity to see their parents, see their friends, see their family members voting and get those little stickers. It means a lot, and it's a history lesson, and it helps them to understand how much the importance it is for us to vote. So I'm not a fan of mail-in ballots, like we've been discussing for a while. That needs to be fixed. We're also discussing in State Central Committee the opportunity to go back to precinct voting. We need to take a look at how that could be effective, because that way we could actually have more volunteers, more help, and we could get that done quicker. So that's another solution to a potential problem when it comes to, if we do voting in person, we're going to need a lot more work, a lot more people, a lot more boots on the ground, a lot more resources. So a precinct level voting, like is being discussed, could easily take place, and it would put us all back into that whole mode of, this is important. We need to take the time to show up and be involved and go to a polling location. Instead of having that ballot get to you, it makes it seem like it doesn't matter, right? So I'm all for that.
Okay, so my dad fought in Vietnam for our freedom, the freedom to choose and to vote. So I voted for Ronald Reagan the first time in 1980, and I loved going to the ballot box and punching my thing in and pushing the machine to hear the thing going, that is that's what I love. But the question is, with mail-in ballots in Orem, I voted against that when I was on the city council because a certain council member wanted that in Orem, and he came from Eugene, Oregon. And to me, that was wrong. We always had absentee ballots as it is. All you had to do is request it, right? So it's the same thing. But I've heard on KSL that our lieutenant governor says, it's 99% correct. I do not believe that. And if you really think that, then I got some property to sell you, oceanfront property in Arizona. But I really think we need to get back to the basics. And voting is a privilege as an American. And people died for that freedom. And I will stand by that 100%. We need to go back the actual way. You know what? It does put you out a little bit. You got to stand in line. But you know what? It's worth standing in line to vote.
Every one of you have one of these, right? It's called an ID. We need to go back to where we have to show our ID and prove who we are. I am for in-person balloting. The other thing with this is, as they have mentioned, that it gets the community together. When you stand in line, you're talking to other people. The other thing I found interesting is, Aaron Davidson brought this up as county clerk, as he said, we do these mail-in ballotings, and our kids nowadays, they don't sign anything. It's all computerized. So he can't match some of the signatures with the ballots. And so some of those ballots become invalid. So they're actually not being counted. And so, because they don't know how to write cursive, they don't know how to sign them, or they just make a big X on the thing. That needs to go away. We need to have in-person balloting. I am for that. I support it. And that just gives a stronger... The other thing is, when you do this mail-in balloting and all that, we should have the results within 24 hours, not 2 days, 3 days down the road. We need to have the results immediately. When it ends, shortly after that, we should know who are our elected officials.
Do you want the question?
So first, a lot of people call it civil rights, but that comes from government rights. So inalienable rights.
The question is really around the data centers that are coming in, and all the research shows that there are huge rights violations and problems there. And we all talk about the Constitution, so I don't want to be presumptive, but I can kind of guess the answers that we're going to get. How do you balance obvious property rights with obvious intrusions of our, inalienable rights? And maybe part of that is, where did you stand on the COVID lockdowns, which was a huge violation of our rights that we have now known was completely fraudulent science with bad intentions?
Is it back to me? Yeah. Okay. Trying to keep. All right. So kind of a two-part question there. Data centers, obviously, it's happening. Box Elder, right? That's the biggest one. 42,000, I think, acres. It's something absurd. In comparison, if you know the Virgin Islands, those islands aren't even 7 miles across. Okay, this is a center that's going to be 10 times that. This is absurd. But in terms of property rights, especially us as county commissioners, we do not have any right to intrude on any city, right? And any property rights of a person, of an individual. So if an individual wants to sell their property, they have every right to sell their property and do with it as they please. But on the county side and on the county level, and as for me running for county commission, I do not support data centers. I do not want a data center in Utah County. I do not want anywhere near our property. But that's not to say if there's a property owner and several property owners get together and they decide to do it, that is their prerogative, that is their right. That's not what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a billionaire push their desire and their need for something and infringing upon people's rights. And if we're speaking about what's happening up north, right? So I think that's very different. But I'm against it. I don't think we need that here. We definitely need to keep that away from our county, and especially in county land where we foresee and have the ability to deal with that land. You will not be seeing that from me. And when it comes to mandates, and I've said this a few times before, I'm completely against government mandates, but I'm for choice. Republicans, as we are conservatives, we believe in choice. So I did not get the vaccine. I did not think that was right for me or my family. My daughter at the time was playing soccer for UVU, and she was threatened with being removed from the team. So no, I do not support that. But I believe that if you would like to get the vaccine, you should have that choice. I do not believe in it. I did not receive it. My family did not get it. And I do not agree with government mandates.
I spoke with the Utah County Builders Association yesterday, and she mentioned that there were 5 more data centers approved. I don't know if that's 100% true, but Cedar City, Provo, Fillmore, and we have to stop the nonsense, right? For one thing, if Utah, I heard Mr. O'Leary saying it was great because Utah's speeding up the timeline of getting these things approved, like in 5 months. We need to get back to basics and go slow, because this is our future. If Utah is going to be dotted with data centers, where's our resources going? We talk about water. You have to have water to live. If you don't have water, we're going to shrivel up and die. And that's a concern. So I'm against data centers. I think you can go to other cities or other states that have the data centers and really do the checks and balances and say, how is it affecting that community? Is it really a pro? Where are the cons, right? Because we really don't know. And I think if it has to be rushed through, that means something's wrong, right? And if Governor Cox is pushing this, he comes out and all of a sudden it's approved. We need to step back. Government needs to stay in their lane, period. I do not believe in the mass mandate. In Orem, I did not vote for a mass mandate. I think other cities around, their city council did. I think Provo did.
I'm the only mayor in the state
Right.
that vetoed it.
So the city council did, but I thought that was wrong, because as an American, we have the right to choose. And people died for our freedoms and for that flag. And we need to make sure that we remember that always. So I'm against mandates. Private property rights, I'm 100% for. We need to make sure that we work for the people, not for the government. And government should not be in private enterprise, period.
As you watch the news media of all these commissioners up there in Box Elder County, I was actually disgusted with them because the people wanted to be heard. And what did they do? They tell them, sit down, shut up. You basically don't mean anything to us. We've made the decision. That's not what you're going to get from me. If you want to come and talk and you want the meeting to go on till 3 a.m, I'm there to listen. And that's what you get from me. I don't believe in data centers and this mass building of high density housing. So no. With property rights, again, if it's your property and you want to sell it, that's your choice. And the government shouldn't step in and say, no, you can't do that. Okay? Now, on the other side, they need to do their due diligence and make sure that everything's in line before they just say, oh, we're going to put a data center here. So no, I'm not for that. As far as mass mandates go, I work in the health field. I had access to VAERS data. You don't know how many lies were given by our government to the people on the vaccines. Let me explain something to you. The FDA, when they get a thing, if there's a vaccine, if there's 25 individuals that are injected and they have an adverse reaction to it, they say, stop, you have to wait and you have to do some more investigating on this research. If you have more than 50, the FDA is supposed to stop that clinical study and they have to go back to the drawing board and maybe take years to find out if that vaccine works. Within the few months, we had over 1,000 people that had adverse reactions to that vaccine, and the FDA lied, and then they tried to cover it up, and the pharmaceuticals lied. So no, I am not in favor of mandates and masking. Again, when they said 6 feet, you have to stand away from somebody 6 feet, just the common sense tells you if I sneeze, that's going to go greater than 6 feet. I was standing in line and my toe was over the tape. And a lady looked down and said, you got to get back. Okay, I slid my foot back an inch. Does that mean you're not going to get it? No, come on. So I am not for mass mandates. I do not believe the government should be telling us what to do.
I love this topic. Both topics, actually, data centers. So those of you that know me know that I have been a huge proponent in my political career for private property rights. I stand with the property owners. I always have, I always will. That is their choice. This data center is such a mess, and I'm telling you, Provo's been dealing with it already for years. We have a small data center down, when I became mayor, it was already up and running. It's down by our golf course. It's a Bluetooth. Remember the invention of Bluetooth? That's where their data center is, and just tiny but crazy at the same time. If I've learned something in this world is you never want to be the city or the county that goes out first and big. I'm telling you, it has so many problems and complications that nobody's experienced yet or talked about. This is getting way too ahead of it. These massive impacts on our natural resources, no all day to that. The minute it impacts a private citizen and it's supposed to be a private property project, that's when you know you have done something terribly wrong. So no to all of that. As far as the mask mandate, it was really fun to be a mayor during COVID, especially a strong Republican mayor that showed up to work every single day without a mask and never missed a day of work. And the only mayor in the state of Utah that vetoed the mask mandate. I believe we can self-regulate. We're all adults here. We are adults. We know how to take care. If we needed it, we could choose to do it, but it's our choice. No one should be telling us what we can and can't do with our own bodies, our own minds, our own families. Self-regulation is where I stood on that. I took a lot of heat when I vetoed it. And my city council rolled me. They just rolled me on my vote. And that's fine. That was their choice. But I am a huge proponent to fight every single mandate that comes down into Utah County, funded or non-funded, by the way.
So this is a specific question, and I've talked to a couple of you about this before, but county commissioners play a direct and crucial role in preserving agricultural zones. And Utah County, as you've seen, the agriculture has been pushed down south, down south, down south. And now you talk about all our orchards, especially the tart cherries that are being grown and the apples and peaches down in South Utah County and Genola. All of these aggregate businesses are coming in, and 2 more were just permitted by the county because you are mandated as county commissioners to permit these gravel pits. And in Genola alone, in a 12-mile area, you have 12. The tart cherries are dying. The orchards are dying. And if we don't do something about it, we will no longer have agriculture in South Utah County. So what can you do? I know it's hard because in my office, you feel like the federal pushes down to the state and the state pushes down to the county and the cities. But we need to work with the state, with UDAF, with whoever you can to make sure that you have the authority to do a non-permit, to preserve these agriculture areas. Maybe it's more of a statement than a question, but maybe you can just answer how you will help preserve agriculture. Our food security is our national security.
Well, in Orem, we have the Crandall Orchard. And when I got elected, Tim Crandall asked me, do not mess with my agriculture easement. And to this day, we did not mess with that agriculture easement because I believe in that. But I really think as a county commissioner, you need to get your butt out of your seat and go to the cities. You need to meet with every mayor, commission, and community and see exactly what their needs are. Because once you know that, then you can become one as a county, and then you can go to the legislature and have some power. You have to have commissioners that are brave enough to go up there and talk to the legislature instead of hiring an administrative assistant to go up and ask for money for the Charlie Kirk, trial. So we need to make sure that we are tough and we represent Utah County. It's sad that these gravel pits we have. I mean, it generates revenue, but I know in Genola you're ruining the cities because the trucks are going through their main thing. So if it's county property, the county needs to find money to make a road that goes around the city. Because if you can't keep the integrity of the city or your neighborhoods, you're going to ruin those cities, and people don't want to live there anymore. So county needs to make sure that we do our job, and we take care of the citizens of Utah County. Just because it's government, that's why government needs to stay in their lane and back off. That's why I want small government, not big government. If you look, Utah, we're big government. It talks about the legislature is so proud that they gave us a tax cut, right? It was $35, but they pat themselves on the back, right? That's garbage. If you're going to do something, do it right. Make it meaningful, because $35 you can go to Paula Burger and that's about it, right? So it didn't do anything good. So either keep that money, give it to a for infrastructure and help us in Utah County, or make a big tax cut.
I think
So please speak to the permitting mandate.
So the permitting mandate, so that, Holly, is we have to be tough, and you have to get there and change that legislative ideas that government needs to stay in their lane, meaning they can't, one size doesn't fit all. And that's why they're mandating a zoning and all that stuff on the cities and counties. We have to stop that. That has to change. We're Utah County. Let us flourish and let us do our own thing instead of being mandated. Because if you're dictating to us what we have to do, that's not fair. That's big government. We need small government.
So just a little clarification for those of you that don't know the impact of how that works with gravel pits versus our tart cherries and apples and peaches. What happens is these gravel pits come and they're horrific. Have you seen the one down in South Carolina? A huge one that's going up on the mountain. It's eating the mountain away, similar to the point of the mountain. I still call it the point of the mountain. My kids are like, there's no point at the mountain. I'm like, there used to be a point at the mountain. It's a gravel pit and they've just chewed the mountain back. But down in South County, what happens is the dust picks up. And so when the dust picks up, it picks up all of that gravel and all those shards and harmful things that have gone in there, and it blows it onto the orchards and suffocates the orchards, and then we lose an orchard. So you think it's not just a frost, it is the dust from gravel pits that impacts those, in case you're wondering. And that's what's so terrifying in South County. When I was speaking in Santa Quin last week, they are just sick about it, because they're standing in their yards and looking up and watching these trucks up there and the gusts of wind coming, and the orchards down in the valleys are just getting killed by this. So the permit process. So when I was the mayor of Provo, I got 1 minute. We had a gravel pit coming in at the mouth of Provo Canyon, right off of Canyon Road where it veers down onto University. If you're familiar with Provo, you'll know that area. A group came in and had the right to do a gravel pit, and they were going to do it. And I'm telling you, we took them to task. We made their lives so miserable. We protest, we initiative, we did everything we possibly could, to where literally the city council and the mayor made it so that it was going to cost them a fortune. You got to play their game, because if you don't, and I'll tell you where you have to play it, is in their pocketbook. Because if you hit them hard where it counts, then they'll go away. They finally got so worn out from us fighting it so much, they decided to put their property up for sale and sold it, and we were able to stop that gravel pit from coming into Provo. So there are ways to do it, but you have to know the ins and outs, and that comes with someone that's been in the office and fought the good fight like I have.
Yeah, the state has mandated a lot of things. Basically, it's taken out of the hands of the cities and the people and the county by saying, if a developer comes in and he wants a permit, you have to give him a permit. That has to be stopped. And I brought that up in my speech at the convention, is that we need to put the state back in their place and say, no, the people, you are the people. You are the ones that should be deciding where your city goes and how it is ran, and that, not the state. The state has no interest. All they're looking at is how many tax dollars they can get. So no, I am for repealing that. I would fight hard upon Capitol Hill to say, get rid of that. Let the counties and let the cities decide where they want to go with their cities, not use the state. That's my biggest thing with there. I agree, these gravel pits make a mess. And as Michelle pointed out, it's killing the orchards. It's killing the vegetation around, and we need to stop it. And I agree. We stop it by making it so difficult for them and so expensive for them that they say it's not worth it. It's what happens in the private sector. Somebody can ask me how much it's going to cost for a certain procedure. I can give them a price. And if they go somewhere else because my price is too high, guess what? They're going to go somewhere else. And that's what we need to do with these businesses that want to come in and destroy our city. Make it so that, no, it's too expensive, go somewhere else. And if somebody else wants it, great. But we don't want it in our city. So I'm willing to go up to the state and fight. Quick little thing, I've contacted my state senator 3 times in 3 years. Not once has he returned my call. I've been up to the Capitol every year to try to meet with him. He's never met with me. He will not sit down with me. But guess what? All of a sudden, because I'm running, how many people are calling me? Because now I have their ear, because now I might be somebody instead of just a citizen. So that's why I'm running. I want to represent you.
All right, so that's very convoluted, as you know, because of the position you're in. So number one, you have to have the relationships to be able to change the law. It has to come from the state level. So we need to be able to push back. Like I said, I have those relationships. So this is the time where those relationships come in handy. Because just to use Brent's example, you can ask, talk. But like he said, if you don't have that network or that ability to have them listen to you, they're not going to. So I can have that ability to be able to make sure that they're being held accountable and understand the difference that is making in Utah County and what is causing us as a whole when it comes to those issues that they're having. So with the pits, Lonnie Ward, he is the mayor in Genoa. I've talked to him extensively about this. At one point, for 12 years, I owned a cycling event. And so we would cycle all the way out there. So bicycle, right? And it got to the point we couldn't even hold our events because there's so many gravel pits, so many semis, and all this construction taking place. And who's suffering the most? Genoa. Genoa's taken a huge hit. So I've talked to Lonnie about this. I've guaranteed him that we will work together to change that. And the way we do it, like I said, is having those conversations. We have leadership in Utah County right now at the state level. They need to be held accountable. We have to push back and make sure they understand what it's doing and change the law. We can change the law. As citizens and as commissioners, we can go up, have those tough conversations, and have them understand what the gravel pits are doing, not only to us as a county, to these specific cities, and to our food consumption. We are lacking in our food growth because of those pits. So let's push back and let's ensure that we are getting what we need out of those legislators. Or Mark. There you
Thank
go.
you. I want to ask this of everybody, since you're all running to be my county commissioner, and I want to preface it with my family story just very quickly. I grew up in Boston in a very political family, and I really believe what Tip O'Neill said, who was my favorite politician over Ronald Reagan, that all politics are local. So you're local politicians. Some of you have been in other public offices. And I think what I want to ask you is this. This is very important to me because I was a state delegate in 2024 and a county delegate in 2026. And I've seen this schism in the Republican Party almost of people either believing in the convention system or believing in gathering signatures. And I've been slimed from everybody from my governor on down as a delegate, as you all remember, in 2024. So I want to ask all of you, where would you stand on revoking or undoing SB 54, which set us up with this hybrid system? And would you support a convention-only system in the future?
You want me to start and until the last this time? Or what do you want me to do that? Or Brent starts? Who starts?
I'll take it. Yes. Yes, I'm a proponent of the convention. I've been a precinct chair, I've been a delegate. And I am a very big proponent of making sure that those who are being vetted carefully. Because we know that you get a mailer and the majority of people just get a mailer and they say, oh, that person looks good on the mailer, or he has quick points, I like those, or she has a good campaign slogan or whatever. But the delegates and that are assigned, they go out and spend hours and really vet the candidates. They ask pointed questions that you have to answer. So I like that. I like the fact that the people that, and it's not just people who volunteered, you go to those precincts, you're voted in, your neighbors have said, yes, we believe you will do the vetting for us. So I like that. I'm in favor, right now we're not going to be able to repeal it as far as getting it thrown out. That's just fact. But I think what we can do is amend it and say, you want to get signatures? Great, go get them. But they can't be paid for. You have to have volunteers to get it, and you can't have a third party come in and do it. Why? Because we've already noticed that in the signature gathering, what happens? There's fraud happening, okay? So that's a point right there. If it's happening with fraud, then it needs to be get rid of. So I am in favor of the convention system.
Thanks for being a delegate and taking the time, because it really does. I've been a delegate for years. My husband has been. The only time I wasn't was when I became the mayor. I felt like it was a conflict of interest. So then he was the delegate, and now I'm back to being the precinct vice chair and a delegate again. I love the system. When I went to file for this position, pull up my document. It's hilarious almost, because I pulled it up and I looked at it, and the first check is convention only, because it gives you boxes and you get to choose which one. And I checked convention only. And then my phone rang and someone called, and then I thought, they said, listen, you basically had your mayoral race stolen from you by a couple hundred votes. You better be careful, because I don't know if you want to do this again and leave it up to chance when there's a policy and a law that allows you to get on the ballot. So I paused. My husband was with me. I mean, the gals at the place were probably like, can she move any faster? No, I took a long time. So then I checked signatures, and then I checked both. And it's a public document. Pull it up and look at it. And I'm just telling you, all the feelings came forward of feeling so sad and working so hard for a community you love, to lose it by a couple hundred to someone from California. It was just really painful. So I told my husband, because, I married an immigrant. We're not wealthy by any means. We love our 1967 home. We have a humongous family. It's expensive. We decided that we were going to go after signatures. And if we landed them, great. If we didn't, great. Either way, we were going to convention and, fight a convention and do the best we could. Now, the signature piece came into play. And it landed, and it's expensive. And people were saying, well, you're so close to the finish line. You better do this and do that. By the way, there's a lot of people that tell you what to do when you're in this position. I'm just proud to say that I will follow the law. If it were to be repealed, I would support that 100%. But I do love our system. And you are right. The getting to know the candidates and spending the time is priceless.
Last one. So I'm a convention-only candidate. I've been working with the party, like I said, for years. Mark, you know this. I'm a current House District Chair. I've been a Vice Chair. I've been a Precinct Chair. I've been a delegate. The first time I became a delegate was in 2006. So I've been serving the party. I've been involved. I believe in the system. I didn't have to choose between convention or signature only. I knew that convention only was my only path. I strongly support the party. I've been a conservative Republican for years. And I think the number one thing we really need to look at is, as commissioners, unfortunately, we have no say at all on SB 54. We can't repeal it. We can't change it. But who can? Your legislators. We need to do better at sending legislators who will repeal it. They're the ones that have the right to do that. They're the ones that have the choice, the ability. They're the ones that are going to change that law. And so let's send those folks who will change that law. Let's send those folks who believe in the convention-only system and who work through the convention-only system. Another reason why I'm running is my biggest pet peeve. You have us all up here as candidates, and then after you win, do you hear from us? That's a problem. Once we win, you still need to see us. We need to be coming to these events. We need to be going to convention. We need to be going to caucus. We need to be continuously present in supporting the caucus system. So the way we repeal SB 54 is, let's have those conversations. Amend the legislation is an option. It's been tried several times. Leah can probably tell you about it. They can change the law. They can amend the law. But until we have those legislators that are willing to do it, that is the law now. I did not pay for signatures. I did not gather signatures. I did it through convention only. So thank you.
I believe in the caucus convention system. I did not pay for signatures. For one, I don't have $80,000 or whatever it would cost. And to me, that would be money well spent to keep it in my family, because my wife would probably kill me. But one thing on the caucus, I didn't feel right in principle to run as a delegate because I was running for county commissioner. And that tells you my moral value, that I'm not going to vote for myself, right, in the convention. So I did not run. My wife did. Hopefully she voted for me, but that's the type of person I am. And I think that everybody has the right to choose. And I think if you're moving in that direction, it's the optics, right? I was not a delegate to vote for myself, period. But I would love to repeal that law that's gathering signatures. But I go back to, we need to make sure we go to every community, every city, and let's get on the same page and become one. Then we will have power. And if our legislatures are there's a lot of legislatures now in Utah that They're in the good old boys club. They're in the establishment. And that needs to change. We need to vote in different people. I'm sorry. We have people in there been a long time, and they keep writing bills to benefit themselves, and that has to stop. Because politics, government is corrupt. And we need to make sure we get good people in there that are not corrupt and move Utah along. But so I am for the caucus convention, and I loved being on this Orange City Council because I serve the people. My phone never stopped ringing because I love to talk to them. And that's why if I'm elected, you'll have my phone and you can reach me anytime and I'll come to your house. I did that in Orem. I saved the Crandall's farm from the city and the county. Shame on them. The county sent a notice. Oh, I'm done. Sorry. Who's next?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for being here and answering our questions. And I really appreciated the answers that I've heard today. One thing that I did not hear, and that was with the first question regarding our elections, and that is the hand counted. Get rid of the machines. Anytime there's a machine, it's going to be manipulated. And that's one thing that will improve the trust of the voters to have that out. So that's what I'd like to know, if you would support that as well. No machines in our voting.
Yeah, I support it. That's kind of what I mentioned when I said that one of the solutions that's being looked at is doing it at the precinct level. I think that's a better suited question for Erin as our current county clerk. Do you want that? Because like we said, not only do I support no mail-in ballots, but that creates a lot more resources. Like we mentioned, a lot more people, a lot more time, a lot more locations, a lot more involvement. So that's why we were looking at the precinct level as a solution, because it can be hand counted, paper only, no machine involvement, right? So that's an option that I think could work, because you would have those resources, you would have those extra hands, you would have the extra ability, the service that comes along with it. So definitely a potential to have that done. But it's definitely something we need to make sure that as an elected official that we vote for as a county clerk, make sure they're on board. Make sure that's what they want. Make sure that that's what they can do, because that's their job, right?
Can I just follow up?
Yeah.
I think one of the problems we have with the way things are right now is that there are the good old boys club that wants them to stay this way so they can manipulate the elections and stay in power and keep these things going that we don't like. And so that's one reason I do appreciate that. I know there are people who would be very willing to be there and do the counting.
To do the work.
Yeah, and I know it's been done before. Mike Lindell has shown ways that this can be done quickly, efficiently, faster than the machines. They just keep them going.
How many of you were delegates and went to county convention, right? We voted by paper. We did paper voting. We did paper voting 2 years ago as well. It works, but you have to have a lot of resources, which we did. And we also weight the ballots. So we have this little machine. You can count them by hand. You put them on there, you weigh them, and you can verify. So it's a great system. So it works.
So I agree 100% that we need to get back to the basics, and paper ballots is one way of doing that. But the one thing too is I have no ties to the county, so I'm not part of that good old boys network that people are talking about. They have all these connections. I don't have the connections in the county, right? I know my state legislatures, and I know some are good and some are not good. So we need to make sure that we can work with them, but we need to change. We need to start in our backyard, which is Utah County. We need to blow that up, start over, and let's find the fat, and then we can move forward. Because, you know, the county, as Brent says, the county is not growing landmass wise. It's really shrinking because cities are annexing property into their cities. But our budgets keep going like this, and our expenses keep going up, and then they just raise property taxes, giving us a salary increase. That has to stop. What's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over, think you'll get a different result. If you keep electing people that have connections to the county, you're going to get the same result, period. I'm here to change. I'm your change candidate. If you want me, I'm David Spencer. Thank you.
As I said earlier, yeah, we need to get back to the basics and do the hand counting and so forth like that. Again, when you start getting involved with machines and that, there's so many abilities to be hacked and to be manipulated. I am too also one of those ones that are non-establishment. I'm not a career politician. I only jumped into this race because I was frustrated with what I'm seeing, and I'm going to take a stand. I don't know if you know the story about Isaac Potts. Isaac Potts was a Quaker in the Civil War, and he seen George Washington praying, and he come out and said, you know what, I think it's going to happen. But he was a Quaker, and he didn't want to pick sides where it was going to go. Well, guess what? I'm picking a side, because if we don't pick a side, the choice will be made for us. My side is we need to get our government back in the position. That isn't with career politicians. That isn't electing. We all say, what's the big term? We want term limits. And what do? We vote back in the same people that's been in there over and over and over again. If you really mean it, I'm the guy that's willing to go up and change it. I'm the guy that's going to say, hey, I don't have any connections. I don't have anybody's back to scratch. Let's change the system. Let us get back to the people, what the people want, not what you and your buddies want. Vote for me, Brent Bowles.
So I will say, as I've been watching Aaron's face with everyone speaking, he's just cringing, and I want to know why, but that's a conversation after. But I also will say, I did see the system work at convention. It was fascinating to watch people write down and hand their papers in, and then them slip back and go count and then come out. I loved it. It felt like the way it's supposed to be, just grassroots, and it worked. So yeah, and I have toured the county and seen those machines, and they're big, and I don't understand them at all, but that's why you elect a county person that takes ownership of that, right? That's your job. That's not our job. That's why you're elected. There's 11 elected officials in the county, 3 county commissioners, and then it goes on, and there's 11, the sheriff, they're all elected. So everyone has their own responsibilities, and that would definitely be your responsibility. And he's held accountable to constituents, just like we would be held accountable to the constituents. Okay, what was the other part of the question?
You support mail ballots.
Yeah, so I said, I love the system of writing it down, but again, that's not a county commissioner's lane, that is his lane. And he's the one that would have to be held accountable to that. So isn't it so much fun? Something about this position though is interesting, and it's been fascinating watching everyone actually, because saying things like, I will go in and slash government, I will go in and cut this, and I will go in and, there is no I as a county commissioner, folks. There's 3. All of us have the exact same executive authority and legislative authority. And you do not, as an I, get to do anything. You have to bring another county commissioner along with you to make a change. So please don't be bamboozled by that. I will go in and do this. I will cut this. I will do this. That's the game. Don't fall for the game. It takes 2 people as a county commissioner. There's 3 county commissioners for a reason. And we all have the same executive and legislative authority. So you have to be collaborative. You have to be able to bring someone to the table with you. It is not about I, it's a we position.
No, I'm just not.
Okay,
No,
Yeah.
I'm
we already did that
yeah.
question there,
Yep.
right?
No,
We're ready for it.
Okay, change of plans, because we're running out of time. We're gonna still hear your questions, but they only get 30 seconds to answer it. We have this room till 12:30. So if some of them want to stay and you want to talk to them more, we can do that. Sound good? Okay, thanks.
Hi, my name is Leah Hansen. I'm an ordinary citizen, and I just have I have so many questions, but I'm going to try to limit it to just a little bit. My question is, well, we all understand what the executive, legislative, and judicial branches are of government, but I don't know that we necessarily understand what the state, county, and local government lanes are. So my question to you would be, what is the proper role of county government? As an ordinary citizen, I hear a lot of blaming going on between city and county and state, and all of the above together. And so I'm just wondering, what is your lane and how do you stay in it, and how do you help the local municipalities do the same as well as the states?
Well, the lane is, if you have the state government, they are dictating to the county and to the cities what we can and can't do, which is wrong. They need to stay in their lane. And as a county, we are support to the cities. That's why I want to go to each city and see what their needs are, and then we can become one and move forward. I want to go back. I'm not a career politician. When people say I'm a career politician, I ran for city council to save baseball fields. I'm a baseball guy. You know, city council is $1,100 a month, right? So it's not a career politician to get rich. Who's next?
Thanks, Leah. Thanks for coming out. She's a House rep, for those of you who don't know, for the Saratoga Springs area. And let me just tell you, lanes matter. I was elected to represent all the mayors in the state of Utah up at the legislative session for 4 years. And so Leah knows I was up there pounding the pavement saying, leave us alone. Local control is where it's at. And I believe that. Nobody knows how to run Provo better than Provo residents and Provo citizens. Nobody knows how to run Utah County. Is it 30 seconds?
Yes, it's 30 seconds, which is nothing.
Sorry. Okay, speed run. I apologize. Oh, thanks, Carolyn.
So the number one thing that we do as commissioners is the budget. And Bill's here, so he could probably tell you. Our budget right now is about 168 million, I think, just under 170 million. That's our number one job. That's our number one thing that we will do for you as citizens. So ensure that that budget's done correctly. I really want to take a look at cuts first. No more tax increases. No more tax increases. We should not be able to do that for a while. We need to live within our means. We need to ensure that our money is done correctly, that cuts are looked at first. No more spending without seeing where that money is going first. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that we're over the budget. We're over some of those departments, and we oversee them and make sure that they're running efficiently. And that's what I want to do as a county commissioner, to make sure that we're doing the budget correctly. We're finding the waste and abuse and correct those things, and then make sure, and I want to start in the commissioner's office, we have to look at our own backyard, okay, and take care of that first. And so that's what I want to do initially, and that's what our administrative role is.
So it's no secret, the growth in Utah County, and I think it's within the next, 20, 30 years, Utah County will be the largest county in the state. And we have a 3-member commission. So my question is, what are your thoughts on expanding the commission to 5? Should it be part-time or full-time?
I'll take that.
We're all gonna have our own.
30 seconds. This is going to be fast. I'm the only commissioner running for commission office that said we need to expand it. Why? Because we have people down in South, we have people on the west side that don't get served. They don't get their voices heard. And so I'd like to expand it to 5. If we cut our budget and cut our salaries down to where it's normal, salary-wise, we could bring on 2 without increasing our budget. In fact, still saving money for the county. And I'd like to see better representation in all parts of the county. I like each one being assigned an area, and that's who they work with, and we come back to the county and we can converse and we do peer reviews on what we're doing for those cities. So yes, I'm in favor of that.
So Brent's wrong because I also am in favor of expanding to 5. I have seen it work. I've seen it work at the school board. There's distinct districts. You represent your area. You represent your, and it works really well. And then in city council, there's 5 distinct assigned precincts, and then there's 2 citywide. I mean, there's a million ways. And I know Commissioner Lee, I had the privilege of working with him as well, and he will tell you, I'm sure, because I watched him work his fanny off, it is more than a full-time job. So to lighten that load and bring some more folks on, I think that it would be a great thing. And we need the representation. We're too big of a county and we're getting bigger.
Part-time.
That would be up to the voters. We put it on the ballot and say, but I'll tell you what, as a city council member, like Dave's been, he's part-time. There is no such thing as part-time, right, Dave? Yeah.
All right, so yes, I support increasing our county commission to 5. We don't even know if 5 is the right one. There's been several study groups and different working groups, so we need to do that again and take a look. We voted on that, I think, 2019, 2020. It was called Prop 9 at the time. It went to the ballot and it was voted down. So what we do as commissioners is we do not decide that on our own. It's constitutionally mandated that we put it on the ballot. So what we would do is we would put a resolution together, put it on the ballot, and then we would vote and make that decision. But I 100% support the increase if that's what the voters want. And that's what we need to decide, is it full-time or part-time? Because like it's been mentioned, there is no such thing as part-time. But I'm in favor of what our residents decide and what we vote on. So if it's part-time or full-time, let's do it.
I have no problem moving it to 5, but I do not agree with part-time because I was a part-time city councilman, and the city, the manager, they were doing things behind closed doors, and they were giving us this much information, and we thought we knew what we were talking about, and we didn't. So if you're elected, you're minding the store, you should be running the county, not staff. So I'm all for that, but like I said, it has to be on the ballot. But I would love the opportunity just to say, I would love to represent every city in Utah County, period, because that's my DNA.
Well, thank you all for putting your name in the ring, the fire ring. And I'm Bill Lee. I'm just a general citizen. How about that? Isn't it wonderful? I got a question for you, a couple questions. First off, SB 54, I've been a part of caucus to convention system my whole adult life. That was a complete gut check for me. I just felt like I was being slapped over and over on that one. Just ignore us, get signatures. I don't like that, never have. But my question is this, the tax rate. You're gonna deal with the tax rate, your offices, the other offices in the county are gonna come to you all the time saying, hey, if you pass it, we'll get more money. But you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to be the one that says yes or no to it. So that tax rate comes up. And it was appalling to me that we went for decades and decades without any property tax increases. Then all of a sudden 2 commissioners, I won't name who they are, they came in and they decided they wanted to go. And now the floodgates are open. Now we turn around and it's like property tax rate is the only one. What's your philosophy on the property tax rate? And what will you commit to doing now while you're running, so when you get into office, we can hold you accountable?
Thank you, Billy.
So like I said, I had the privilege of working with Bill for years at the county, and we were able to accomplish a lot of things as partners, as the mayor and as a county commissioner. As far as the property taxes, I was just as shook as everyone else was when they opened their property taxes and saw this significant jump. Now, I immediately went and met with the commissioners one-on-one and said, what is going on? Why didn't you give us a warning? And of course, it's really easy as an elected official to push the blame to previous elected people. and say, well, had they done their job and done small increments along the way, we wouldn't have had to have such a huge jump. Oh, it's 30 seconds again. I forgot. Anyways, I need to get in the seat, take a look at it, but I am not in favor. I've never once, as the mayor, put in a tax increase, a property tax increase.
That's why I got into the race, was to correct the tax situation that's being handed to us. So yes, I will commit, I will not raise taxes while I am a county commissioner. Absolutely not. We've had enough. We've had over 100% in the last few years. So I will commit to you, I will not raise property taxes.
I will not raise property taxes in the 4 years as I'm being elected as the commissioner. And I will also not bond. Bonding and tax increases are the same thing. The end result, you're still paying for it, right? So if cities say they haven't raised taxes, but they bonded the crap out of their citizens, it's still the same result. So absolutely no. I will not raise taxes and I will not bond. We need to live within our means, bottom line. And if we can't, we're not doing government right. We want small government, not big government.
All right, so same thing, tax rate. That was the question, right? And when it comes to tax increases, we all said it, and I'll say it again. And it's not just about being an I, it's about we. So I personally, if elected as a county commissioner, will not vote for a tax increase. That does not mean that the other two may not vote for it, which is what Bill was referring to. So you will not see that from me in the 4 years that I'm in office. That will not happen. Same, like I mentioned with the salary increases, that will not happen. Retain the tax rate is what it was a question. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to work on. The assessor just did 161 billion, I think it was, sent through. The assessors have a deadline. It was this Friday. They went through and did it. 7% increase for the county this time around. Keep the tax rate. We need to work within our means. We no longer need to do tax increases. It's just simply not something we need to do.
Last question.
Hi, there you go.
Okay, this is kind of an easy one, so we'll let you off. Parks in the county, and the county paying for parks in cities. So I'm in Orem. I think there might be, I don't even know if there's any county parks in Orem. We have paid for our own parks, and they're beautiful. So my question is, and I understand maybe the county helping out a city who is smaller, but I think we're getting to the point now where there are cities that could take over the parks from the county. And I would kind of like to see that equalization. I think that would help. We're talking about taxation. So, that would free up resources to help in other areas of the county. So anyway, I'd just like to hear your thoughts, and then how are you going to do that? So, do you want me to go first on this one?
Just to go down the line. 30 seconds. Yes, that's something that can be done. Benjamin is an example. A lot of our parks and different lands that we kind of manage are in the south area, just because of the way that the cities and the county set up. So to use that as an example, Benjamin is a park that we could Spanish Fork take over. Even some of that end on the west end, Payson could take over. So conversations and having those partnerships and collaborate with those cities. It definitely can happen, and I agree it would help us with our funding and then alleviate some of those costs. Because it's not just a budget, it includes several different things when it comes to the maintenance. So
Lynette, very good question. I think it goes back to communication to make sure that we are, as commissioners, meeting with each city to see exactly what their needs are. And if their park's close, we should be able to work that out. But also the tourism dollars is key, right? As commissioners, those tourism dollars help cities. And the past commission, not that I'm looking at Provo, but Provo's got a lot of it because of the airport. And then they did an interlocal agreement for $3.5 million for 15 years. We need to make sure we're not picking winners and losers, that other cities have that money that they can use for parks to bring in tourism dollars for their city to help them out.
When a city becomes a city and the people want that city, they should be able to pick up those services. And the problem is sometimes the cities will say, we want this area, and they exclude something that they know that they can use and keep that passed on. I would say no. If you're a city and you want to be a city and you want that park, then you have to annex that park in and take over those services. Yes, there are areas in our county that we could help with parks, but I think if it's really close to a city or it borders or surrounds it, and the city says, no, I don't want to annex it because I don't want to maintain it, I think that as a county commissioners, we need to meet and say, no, you have to annex that and take that burden away from us. It's in your city.
I would get a lot of calls and people would say, there's this janky part of the Provo River Trail that we hate. It's like it's going along and it's so nice and all of a sudden it just goes yucky. And there's roots and there's weeds and there's cotton everywhere. And sure enough, because that one little section was the county's. And when I would call the county, they'd be like, oh. So yes and yes. That was a great question, Lene. This is something we could absolutely resolve and have the cities, they have the resources, they have the lawnmowers, they have the employees, they have all the resources they need to take this over. And why not? Why draw these lines that are so weird and broken up?
This was amazing, you guys. Thank you so much for coming, all four of you, and just answering our questions and enlightening us on what's going on and what you're thinking.